gonna fight for Iowa. Let every loyal Iowan sing.
Hello and welcome to Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Channel 18. That's Public Access TV. My name is Dirk Keller. That's Earl Murphy. We've got and before I introduce our guest, I do want to send some get well wishes to Bud Supple. He's got a bit of a head cold and didn't want to pass it along to the rest of us. And Bud, we appreciate that. Bob is on special assignment and may be here before the show is over. But until then, we would like to introduce to you a very special guest. Deanne Kroemer, the City High Athletic Director, is here, and we really appreciate that. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Deanne, how long have you been with City High?
This is my 5th year.
5th year. Now, I was thinking about this last night as I was preparing for the show. I'm guessing you're the first female athletic director at City High?
Correct, yes.
Are there any other female athletic directors within the Mississippi Valley Conference?
There currently are not. In fact, I am the only female foray in the state of Iowa.
Is that right?
And have been for years.
So what's that like when you sit down with the rest of the boys in the room every couple of months? What's that like? Do they make you feel welcome?
Absolutely.
Oh,
From
yeah.
the time I stepped into the MAC when I was the athletic director at Davenport Central to the time that I've stepped in at the Valley, overwhelming welcome and response to me being a part of the conference.
The way it ought to be. That's the way it ought to be. 5 years already at City High, and you've overseen quite a period in City High athletics. I can think of at least 2 state championships in football. Am I off the mark here?
1 and a runner-up.
One championship, 1 runner-up, which was last year.
Right.
Okay.
My first year, we were boys and girls basketball state champions.
That's right. What a year that was.
That was amazing. And really, I think something that will go down in history. I think it's extremely difficult for 2 programs in one school to be fortunate, let alone at Class 4A.
Matt Gatens and
Kelly Cry.
well, I was going to say Kelly Cry on the girls' side.
And Johnson, she was a freshman.
She was a
Oh, that's
freshman.
right,
Yep,
Virginia.
Virginia was a freshman. You bet. Made that layup. Passed by Kim Rickles.
And she did it so smooth, just
Effortless.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just so graceful.
Yes, that's right.
First year?
That was my first year.
So you probably thought, this is going to be easy.
Well, not necessarily. You know, those expectations remain high, and, you know, once you have that level of success, it needs to be maintained.
A.J. Derby was on that boys' team that
Yes.
won the state title.
You bet.
His brother Zach was also on the team, wasn't he?
He was, but we were not champions. Maybe we were champions that year.
I can't remember.
No, I don't think so.
Is he a year older than Matt Gatens?
Zach is the same class as Matt Gatens.
Oh, well, he would have been on that team then. I would think. I can't remember. But what I
How
do
time
remember,
flies.
it was just a magical year to go into the City High gym. What's the name of the gym?
Actually, our gym is not named.
No names?
It is not named. It's our term, the Red Zone.
The Red Zone. I see those shirts all over town.
Yep.
And we've talked about this on Sports Opinion from time to time, but we feel very fortunate to live here in Iowa City with such exceptional athletic programs for the high school and the junior high kids. Dan Sabers, the now longtime head football coach at City High, I think it's safe to say long time at this point, has just done wonderful things with the program, not just at the high school level.
I think his intensity can be improved on.
His intensity?
Yeah. He should be more intense.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think he's there yet.
Well, it's...
He is one of the most intense, passionate individuals I know, and it just spills over into all of our programs and everything that he does on a daily basis. I mean, we are just so fortunate to have him.
I think so, too. We've had him on the show before and try to get him on every year. I called and asked if he would come on the show during the season, which was a big mistake on my part. He's a little busy this time of year. He teaches at City High as well as coaches, and so we thought, well, okay, we'll just ask. We'll go over his head, and we'll ask Deanne to be here and brag a little bit about Dan Sabers. But not only Dan, but also the coaches on his staff and the program that they have developed and nurtured over the years. It doesn't start at the high school level. It starts at third grade here in Iowa City with tackle youth football. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for the kids and the parents to get involved in football at an early age and determine if you like it and learn the program. But you get to see it firsthand.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about Dan and his staff and
You
how they
bet.
operate.
You know, we are so fortunate to have a staff of that extreme experience, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have traditionally been so successful year in and year out. Our youngsters are ingrained in the City High way. You know, one of the great things about Dan Sabers and his staff is they are actually coaches at Southeast, but in different sports. Dan is a junior high girls basketball coach. Dan is a junior high track coach. Dennis Knoop, his assistant, is a junior high basketball coach. Mike Moore, our sophomore coach, is part of the City High track and field program. Tim Casey, part of the City High track and field program. So, you know, our coaches are getting their arms around these youngsters at a very, very early age, teaching them the City High way, and just instilling what a great opportunity City High has to offer and how great it's going to be to grow up and be a little Hawk. And that really shows in the youth nights that we have and just how Dan gets his arms around those kids and says, hey, you're going to play for me one day and you're going to have a great experience.
He's inspirational. We've heard him speak each year at the Monday Morning Quarterback Club Luncheon, and I really enjoy when he has his time in front of the microphone. He's just wonderful, and I feel bad for him because it sounds like he's really wrecked his voice. But show me a football or basketball coach who doesn't have that issue going on. He just seems like a very genuine, wonderful individual for kids. As a mentor and the success.
Maybe my
has.
timing might be right, but Mr. Bacon, the principal out there,
Yes.
he's a great
John
guy.
Bacon?
Yeah.
He is a great guy. We are so lucky to have his passion and his spunk and his enthusiasm. You know, it's just been a delight to have him and to have him lead City High.
He's a big fan, isn't he?
He is a big fan.
And he doesn't want to leave.
No, he doesn't.
That's his job.
You know, not only is he our biggest fan, but he is also going to hold all of our students accountable. And I
Exactly.
think that's so important for our students. You know, he is their biggest cheerleader, but he's also going to hold them accountable for high expectations and great successes and you know, cheers them on day and night.
Part of the City Highway.
No question.
Yeah, part of the City Highway.
You know, I'm just thinking backwards, but all the athletic directors and principals are that way in Iowa City, from West to Regina to City High.
No
Yep.
question, and I think that's one of the
I do
major
too.
strengths of our community. I think people from the outside really can look at the Iowa City schools, including Regina, and just realize what successful student and athletic and academic programs that we have to offer in this community.
Well, when you think about it, this is a town of about 60,000 people. If you add Coralville, which you should, that's part of the school district, you know, you've got about 75, maybe 80,000 people. And yet,
North Liberty.
yeah, North Liberty.
Jeffrey.
Well, they've got their own school district there.
Well, that's that way, but they're closer.
That's
Not-
true.
no.
But so much has been, the point I want to make is that so much has been accomplished athletically in a community of this size at the largest school level in the state of Iowa, competing with teams from Davenport, competing with teams from Des Moines, Waterloo, and then if you head west, Sioux City, a lot of those schools are much larger, and the communities are much larger. Yet Iowa City, here we sit with the City High football team ranked number 5. I see that your boys golf team just finished 9th in the state at the state tournament. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But girls volleyball ranked number 2.
You bet.
Track teams, boys and girls, every year. I mean, it's a perennial
Is our
power in
football
track.
team ranked?
Number 5. And the City High Little Hawks football team had a nice bounce-back win over Dubuque Wallert last Friday. I believe the score was 27-10. And now they get to travel to Linn-Mar, undefeated Linn-Mar. I think they're ranked number 2. And, you know,
Valley of West is.
are they number 1? Well, the city, the Little Hawks have to go to Linn-Mar this Friday for a very important game. It will basically decide the division championship within the Mississippi Valley Conference. West High on the other side of the conference, is undefeated within the conference.
I think Channel 9 is going to televise that, aren't they?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if 9.2. I believe it's going to be MediaCom for sure.
Oh,
and it will also be on KXIC.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what.
That's going to be a heck of a game. And,
it's going to be a great night for high school football.
Yeah, the weather's supposed to be decent, so if you get a chance. And Linmar's got that brand new football field.
Yes, they do.
Have you seen it?
I've been to the stadium.
What's it like?
It is just a fantastic venue to host any championship event. It really, it has the capacity in which you could play, some really major events. It's just really a neat atmosphere.
Do they have that new artificial turf?
They do have synthetic grass.
Synthetic, yeah. I'm just not a big fan of that, but I'll bet a lot of athletic directors are because it's a lot cheaper to maintain.
Coach Sabers and I both feel very strongly that we like our game field grass, and we feel that that's just not a direction that we want to go, and at this point we're really comfortable with what we have at Bates Field. We love it.
Yeah, well, Bates Field is a classic football field and track venue, and it's really legendary at this point. So many big things.
Track, isn't it?
It is John Raffensperger Track.
Bates Field, Raffensperger Track. Very appropriate, by the way.
No question.
To name the track after our friend John Raffensperger.
Yeah, our friend.
He is. I consider him a friend. I'm proud to say it. We've had him on the show, and I help him clean up after the Monday morning quarterback club luncheons, and I'm honored to do it.
Yeah.
Because he's right there, leading and directing traffic, and that's the kind of guy he is, behind the scenes.
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
Not too big to, stick around and clean up afterwards. I like that about him.
His dad used to be the coach of the University of Iowa football.
That's right. That's right. We had John on the show.
Yeah.
He had his book written about City High.
Yeah.
And it's just an incredible book about the history of the school athletically and
statistically.
That's easy for you to say.
When I was hired in the position at City, Coach Raff wrote me a nice congratulations note and sent me a copy of his book.
What a classy guy.
Absolutely. And, I read it from cover to cover, and still there are an awful lot of things in there I don't remember and just need to continue to review as we have such rich history and tradition.
It's a good reference point whenever you need to whip it out and find out what you need to know for the next
From
speaking
1954,
engagement.
That's right.
Yeah. You go back that far, okay.
When was City High founded?
We celebrated our 70th anniversary a couple years ago, so we're moving towards 75.
Wow. And we've talked about it before on the show, but that location...
Opened in 1939.
39?
Yeah.
That used to be considered country. And now...
They call it West Branch.
Is that right? Which is kind of how, a lot of communities go. They build on the edge of town, and the town grows out.
I hope nothing's happened to him.
I do too, but we'll find out soon enough.
Because he's never.
No, and Joe could make a phone call and find out what's going on. We're talking about Bob Boyd, who's on assignment right now. And so, back to City High. You, last weekend, hosted the state golf tournament for boys.
Yes.
At Finkbine.
Yes.
I'm sure there wasn't much work that went into that.
Wow, it's been about 6 months of intensive work preparing. Whenever you are fortunate to host a state championship, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that need to take place prior to the actual event. And, so very fortunate that Jeff Moore, director of golf at Finkbine, and Adam Kaufman, head golf professional, were instrumental in helping prepare and being a part of running a state championship.
Had a pretty windy. Were there 16?
16 teams.
12 teams.
12
teams. Okay.
By the way, we're visiting with Deanne Kroemer, the athletic director at City High here in Iowa City. 12 teams, 2 days, Friday and Saturday. Last year, your coach, Greg Andrews, led the team to an 11th place finish. This year, they moved up a couple notches to 9th place. I know Friday was a very windy day, and then Saturday, not so bad. But it's a lot. 6 months of preparation just to do a 2-day event for 12 teams. Was it worth it?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. It's great whenever you have the chance to showcase, your community, the University of Iowa Championship Golf Course, our kids being able to stay home, sleep in their own bed, be a part of the school community. I mean, all of those things are things that make an event so successful.
Wow. The City High boys and girls golf program has had a real good, strong tradition. I don't know if you want to brag a little bit about Greg Andrews and what he's accomplished.
Absolutely. I would love to brag about Greg Andrews. He's just done remarkable things for our program. He provides kids with opportunities for out-of-season training, provides kids suggestions for tournaments to play in the summertime. He utilizes our local golf professionals to build strengths and develop the knowledge base that our kids really need to be successful at the highest level. He's made those contacts with coaches at the collegiate level that are interested in our student athletes, which is, very important to us and to our kids moving forward.
And it's just a real serious time commitment when a golf coach commits to doing the job, but it takes a lot of time to play golf. And you're not doing it in a warm gym. You're outdoors in all kinds of weather with no protection. In fact, exposed to a lot of elements. My dad was a golf coach too, and you're not just a golf coach. You're sometimes a parental unit. You're sometimes a chauffeur, sometimes a cook and a chef too for some of the kids.
You bet.
It's a real commitment that coaches at the high school level, the junior high level make to raise all of our children. They do a lot more than we see. And for golf coaches, they do it in front of virtually nobody. There's no one to witness their success. It's not covered very well by the reporters, by the newspapers, although the Press Citizen does a good job of keeping us informed.
Absolutely.
My son was the captain of the CI golf team.
Which one? John?
John.
Really?
When he played, what was the home course?
I think the
Elks Club?
And our home course is Pleasant Valley. And head golf professional Tom Hine has been
Oh, yes, Tom.
so supportive. He gives countless hours of volunteer time to work with our students.
Was he a City High grad?
I don't know that.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Well, people like Tom and the rest of the folks like Greg deserve a shout out and a little thank you next time you see them for the commitment they make. We've talked a little bit about football and the success.
Isn't there a coach by the name of Pugh out your place?
You bet. Mike Pugh is on our
You didn't
football
mention
staff.
him.
Yep.
Why didn't you mention him?
We have so many football coaches. It was just an oversight on my part.
How
my excuse.
many athletic programs are there that you oversee at City
21 sanctioned sports,
High? 21.
including cheer and dance,
Yeah.
which are
You
not.
oversee cheer and dance?
I also oversee cheer and dance. They're
really?
not sanctioned sports,
Right.
but we include them under the umbrella of athletics.
Is that the same at every school in the state of Iowa?
Not necessarily.
No.
Sometimes those are duties as assigned.
I'll be darned. I didn't realize that.
I noticed there's some tents in College Street Park. You used to stay in one of those. You have a nice home there.
That's exactly right.
Occupy.
Occupied.
Yep.
So 21 sanctioned sports plus cheerleading and
And dance.
dance. That's right, dance.
That's
That's
I'd like
competitive.
to get back to Pugh. Why didn't you mention him? He's a great coach. I think he coaches quarterbacks.
How long's he
You know
been
what?
there?
He has been at City High longer than I have.
Really?
He's a quiet,
Oh, yeah.
unassuming kind of guy, and that's probably, he's not that yeller, he's not that screamer. He really gets his arms around those kids, and he's not. It's not about him. It's about the kids, and
Okay.
it's about his genuine commitment to our kids, and, error on my part in terms of an oversight, but he's not one of those yellers and screamers, and, he has his role, and, really contributes an awful lot to our
Yes.
program.
Do you know how many coaches, including head coaches and assistants, are under you there at City High?
Including volunteers, 80 plus.
How many volunteers roughly?
It really depends on the program and the need.
Yeah.
You know, a football program definitely with the different levels and the different positions, it's always nice to have another set of eyes and another individual who wants to learn the system, be a part of the program. And then there's other sports where they're not necessarily needed, you know, in great numbers.
So I'm pretty certain that as far as football goes, and all these youth programs, 3rd grade and up, those are all volunteers, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah. And that's a heck of a commitment on those parents' part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been really neat. The last few years, our youth tackle, our 4th, 5th, and 6th, have played at Bates Field on Sunday afternoons. So for them to have the opportunity of playing at the City High Stadium has really been a neat thing for those kids. You bet. You know, they walk away even believing stronger that I'm going to grow up, I'm going to play for Coach Sabers, and I'm going to be a City High Little Hawk. And that's just a really neat thing to see those kids walk away from there having an absolute blast, doing their touchdown dance, and you know, just really a neat thing for those young people.
And the parents pay for that, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
They do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it costs money for those. Those are real helmets, real shoulder pads, pants.
You bet. Equipment
jerseys,
inspected. Absolutely.
Everything. My son's with the Regina program, and he takes big pride in that. And he's 5th grade. You know, I've seen up close what these parents do to make this happen, and the joy the kids get out of it.
How many kids are on a team? About 20?
No, it's more like 15.
Okay.
But there's, I mean, you know, the east side is how there's east side, west side, and Regina. And I'd bet the east side has, 8 teams?
And it really varies with the number, and we like to keep the number lower, so it really gives the kids the opportunity to play and learn the game and learn multiple positions. You know, when you get too many youngsters on one team,
I see.
You know, it just lends itself to kids standing around, and that's not good for the sport.
It's 3rd and 4th grade. Starts 3rd and 4th grade, and then 5th and 6th grade, and then 7th and 8th grade. So you've got essentially 3 teams for those age groups, but there may be 4 teams for each segmented age group, or more.
Really depends on the year and the interest level and number of participants per class.
And nobody gets turned away if they want to play.
Right. And we have scholarship opportunity for students that maybe can't
that right?
afford. You bet. You bet.
Well, if they can't afford, it's, you know, you have to pay something.
Yeah.
I don't mean scholarship.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
But still, the money is available.
Sure.
For kids that can't afford it. And I mean.
And for any of our programs, for that matter.
Yeah.
We want kids to be connected.
And there are so many kids these days that are disconnected. In not just Iowa City, but in our society as a whole. I've seen it from coaching Little League Baseball and girls softball. This is a real way to reconnect these kids to their peers and to adults who can provide I think, a good leadership role for them, a parental role for them. It's more important than just giving kids a venue to knock the ball around or chase each other around. There's a lot more that goes into it. This youth football program, I believe, comes to an end this Sunday. That's it. It's over. And then it'll be time for basketball. And I wanted to talk a little bit about basketball. We mentioned earlier about Deanne's first year as athletic director at City High was the year that City High won both the boys and girls state basketball tournaments. It was just a legendary time with Kelly Cry. It's still, when my kids and I go to the women's Hawkeye basketball games, we have a little Kelly Cry from City High.
And she's improving. Every week.
She's going to be a senior. She and Matt Gatens are going to be seniors.
How time flies.
I got a baseball cap that got Matt Gatens on it.
Is that right?
He printed it on there for me. So.
Well, that year they won it all was just magical. And I'd love to see that happen again for City High.
And you were here then?
That was my first year.
Oh, okay.
First year.
I was out to City High the night that they brought the trophy in.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
For the trophy dedication.
That's when Matt gave me the hat.
Yep.
And did we have Matt come on the show after that? I can't remember if we had him on the show.
I think we had his dad about 6 times.
Yeah, we have.
He comes in just
He'll just walk in halfway through the show and sit down. He's always welcome to. He has a lot to contribute. But one of the things that I wanted Deanne to talk about today was what she and the other 4A large school Iowa coaches, or administrators, excuse me, have been going through and working on for I don't know how long it's been dragging out, but the large schools in football in the state of Iowa, the 4A schools, have a form of district play. And it sounds like that might be going away.
Well, right now we have conference play.
Conference play.
Where the conference champion, has the automatic qualifying bid.
And that's football only?
Football only.
Mm-hmm.
Football only. The other classes in football have the district play, which right now the state is looking at moving 4A to that type of format. What's happened over time is there seems to be a much greater disparity between the largest schools in Class 4A and the bottom tier of Class 4A. Mm-hmm. So they came up with the magic number of about 800, and that is your BEDS document, which is your enrollment grades 9 through 11.
Not through 12?
Right, not through 12.
Why is that?
I'm not sure why that is.
9 through 11.
9 through 11. And so the schools, the top 48 schools, or those greater than a BEDS number of 800, are in Class 4A. Mm-hmm. Right now we have 47 schools because Newton dropped to Class 3A a couple years ago. So on the western side of the state, they have 23 Class 4A schools. On the eastern side, we have 24. And that's what currently makes up Class 4A.
Where's the dividing line in the middle of the state? Is it this side of Des Moines or the other side?
Well, it's really the east side of Des Moines is the 24 schools, and the west side of Des Moines. But you have a couple, like, for example, Southeast Polk High School. Even though it really lies on the east side of I-35, it is really a western school because it's part of the CMIL conference.
Yep.
And Ottumwa also is part of the CMIL, even though it's on the east side of 35.
So you've spent a lot of time in meetings with administrators, with other school athletic directors, with IHSAA, I got that right?
Yes.
IHSAA administrators.
Yes.
Has there been a final decision made?
There has not been a final decision made. Tomorrow, I believe the 13th of October, the IHSAA is going to present to the Iowa Athletic Association Board of Control the data that they have accumulated from the surveys that were sent to the 47 schools in Class 4A. And then at that point, there will be questions asked by the Board of Control, and my assumption would be there will be a recommendation that will be asked, and the Board of Control could vote as early as November to make the move to district football.
Which would mean no more conferences.
Correct.
For football.
Correct.
What about basketball?
Has no impact on any other sport other than football.
So the conference would still be maintained? In
all other 20 sports.
Just doesn't seem to make any sense to me.
We would agree with you. There are 10 very, very strong no votes in the Mississippi Valley. We feel that our conference from top to bottom is a fantastic football conference. The rivalries that exist week in and week out, the competitiveness that's there. We feel that it really prepares us for the postseason. And so we are still very much in favor of keeping the MVC conference football alive.
Now, the Mississippi Valley Conference has been around for how long?
20 plus years.
Yeah. And how many teams?
We currently have 14.
And this encompasses schools in Dubuque, Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City. These are, like you said, some real long-time rivals. To me, it's like the Big Ten of Iowa high school. There are so many good programs.
Prior to that, we had Rock Island, 2 more schools in there.
You bet.
And Airport Central.
Yeah.
It was really a tough conference.
Yep. It's really a tough conference now.
What means that we had Illinois schools in that conference? Do you think that it had any effect in changing the rules and the Illinois schools go their ways?
I think that partially, back in 1992, when the other classes went to district football, the state essentially ended up closing the borders.
1992.
I think back in 92
Yeah.
was when the state closed the borders. And what that did was it created some difficulties for the Sioux City schools, the Council Bluffs
Yeah.
schools.
Quad City schools.
Right, the Quad City schools. With the MAC and that group of 10, that's worked out nicely for them because you play 9 regular season games. So, their schedule is set every year. So they really haven't had that non-conference issue and travel like the Sioux City and the Council Bluffs schools. And so they're having to play the Des Moines Metro schools. Marshalltown had to go to Sioux City on a Thursday night. You deal with Fort Dodge, Mason City, and Ottumwa that are 4A on the western side of the state. So it's really created some travel issues and budgetary concerns because of that travel. So part of the dialogue related to district football would be possibly opening up those borders again. And in conversation
really?
with some of the MAC athletic directors, they relished the thought of possibly reviving the old Mississippi 8, the Davenport Central Rock Island rivalry, or, being able to play Moline or UT in the regular season. And that would be helpful to the Sioux City and the Council Bluffs. So in their eyes, I can see where it could be favorable.
I'm old enough to remember when those UT, United Township, Moline,
East Moline, yep.
those were big cross-border rivalries, cross-river rivalries. Do those Quad City teams play each other in anything now?
Absolutely.
They
When I was
do.
the athletic director of Davenport Central, we competed in a majority of other sports that were in the same season with schools in Illinois across the river.
Okay.
And it's great competition, and your travel expense is minimal.
Yeah. And boy,
I know,
again,
sir.
big rivalries.
Reassurance, now Davenport Central is coming up.
Correct.
Why?
I think lots of reasons. I think they have a great coaching staff. I think they're really working on their youth programs and taking an active role in developing those junior programs, be it football, basketball, and trying to get their arms around their junior high kids.
This is another question. Do you know Bob Liddy?
Yes.
I do too. I think he's a jewel, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I haven't talked to anybody for a long time that knows Bob Liddy. You would know it.
Coach Freeze, Coach Dunsworth.
No, I just know Liddy. I think he's.
Who's Bob Liddy?
Well, he played football for Iowa. He was a guard, tough-nosed guy, but just a saint, as a person. So he's a great guy.
When did he play for the Hawkeyes?
Oh, probably about 47.
Oh, really?
He attended Davenport High before there
Is
was
that
Davenport
right?
Central and Davenport West. Before those two, yeah.
Oh, what a pistol. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
He's a pistol.
Fireball.
Say, I got
You got plenty of time.
to make a statement. This that had nothing to do with you.
Oh.
But the Levis Center called me last night, and they said, "You made it, Murph. You and your wife will be on the field for the Michigan game.
Really?
Your scholarship is all endowed."
Fully endowed scholarship in the name of Earl and Louise Murphy.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I thank you. I really appreciate it.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And I was just thrilled, so.
Congratulations.
Can you talk about maybe the qualifications of the students that would be scholarship recipients?
I think mine goes to a girl. I don't know. But I asked for that's one thing I asked for. We had Jim Blank went to City High, and he has a daughter now, and she's a wonderful softball player. They live in L.A., and she's going to go to the University of Iowa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's going to play shortstop, and she's starting every game. She got 5 hits the other day, so.
Did they mention if she will be the first recipient
I don't
of the
know.
Murphy Scholarship?
I think it'll be later on.
Okay.
Being she's a freshman, so.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
So, you said that there will be. Did you say there will be an announcement next week about?
Tomorrow
Tomorrow.
is when the information collected will be provided to the Board of Control. They can evaluate that information, act ask for a recommendation and then vote as early as November.
And the Board of Control is the IHSAA.
It's made up of superintendents, principals that are elected around the state so that each district is represented. And they
Okay.
will make a decision based on the recommendation from the Iowa High School Athletic Association.
And you mentioned that at least 9 athletic directors from the Mississippi Valley Conference are voting no.
We already voted no.
You've already voted
We
no.
voted no.
Okay.
Yep, our votes were due a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Well, I for one would hate to see the conferences go away in 4A football.
I just think the long-term ramifications are such that the current records will go down in history.
Mm-hmm.
There will never be conference champions 2011 on Bates Field because it will become district
Think of that.
champions. You know, those are the things that you look at and you go, wow, you know, we've had such an amazing history in the MVC of tradition and rivalry and just exceptional athletes. You know, let's use Tim Dwight. You know, and some of the records, you know, that are in existence that he, you know, has generated. And those things now go away. And your district changes every 2 years. So now you really don't even
That's
have
right.
district records
Well,
because your district changes every
Cedar
2
Falls
years.
would be what? Where would they go? Cedar Falls.
Well, they'd just be in a district,
They would be in a district.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
like Regina's in, like you said.
Oh, okay.
You know, their
Yeah.
district, you don't take pride in district number 6. And it changes
It
every
changes
2
every
years.
2 years. Your district changes, and it's determined by the state. The interesting piece is in Class 4A, because of our numbers, you would either have a district of 5 or 6 teams. And then you would be part of recommending who you wanted to play for your other non-district games. Well, if City and West are not in the same district, it
And they
will
probably wouldn't be, would they?
depends on how the state aligns us.
Really?
So City and West would have to put each other as number one on the wish list to
Yep.
play to ensure that we can maintain that rivalry. Because there can't be a season where City and West don't play. I mean, and that just can't happen. I mean, we have such a great rivalry. I mean, brings the community together. It's a fun night for high school football.
Look what's happened in the Big Ten. Wisconsin and Iowa don't play each other.
No.
It's just a travesty. And we don't want to see that happen here in Iowa at the 4A football level. We would like to see these rivalries
There's money
continue.
into it.
The travel component in your budget definitely enters into it. You
Yeah.
know, the other piece of the puzzle we look at is our lower level football. We have this great Crandeck football league in 9th grade, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Marion schools. And in conversation with other 3A and 2A athletic directors, they're sharing with us that their lower level football is based on their district play because coaches want to start looking at offensive and defensive schemes of that lower level, knowing that's going to be typically what they're going to run at the varsity level. And I don't envision sending my freshmen to Ottumwa to play a freshman game when I can send them up to Cedar Rapids Prairie 20 minutes away.
Right.
So, you know, those are things that are big picture things that I don't think necessarily people have looked at.
You said something. The travel. Are our bus drivers? I shouldn't say this.
You concerned about the safety of the bus drivers?
Yeah, safety of the bus drivers. Are you in favor of checking them before they leave, or
The bus
not?
drivers?
Yeah.
Yeah, who drives the buses for the kids?
Well, it depends. We, the Iowa City Community School District has a contract with Durham School Services.
Right.
So Durham School Services
Okay.
hires the bus drivers.
That's it.
And when we have trips exceeding 60 miles or trips to Dubuque, we take charter buses. And,
Okay.
you know, we use charter service, and they have drivers who request to drive for city. And so they develop relationships with our coaches and kids and, you know, take
okay.
our football teams
I
up to
believe
Dubuque
that.
on
Okay.
Friday night.
Okay.
Because they have a great experience.
I bet. I have fond memories as a high
Yes,
schooler of some of the bus rides, especially back, when you can relax, you're tired, just hang out with your buddies and talk to the coaches. But the longest we ever had was like an hour and a half,
Yeah.
you know. But I grew up downstate Illinois, so that's a different set of circumstances. These kids today still have to go. I mean, Dubuque's an hour and a half or more by bus.
That road's so much better than it used to be.
Oh,
Absolutely.
and safer.
Yep.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah,
You know,
it really is.
It is, because you're leaving early, coming home late, and you just need to make sure that safety is a priority.
How about Sioux City? If Sioux City has a game in Des Moines, do they stay overnight?
They do not.
What?
Can't afford it. No budget for that. That's
Right.
a big expense.
And so that's one of the things that is leading to investigating district football at Class 4A. Marshalltown going over to Sioux City on a Thursday night, getting home at 2:45 in the morning. That's not good for kids.
No, not at all.
And it's not good for your gate receipts. You can't believe that anybody from Marshalltown, other than parents of players, made the trip to Sioux City on a Thursday night.
No.
The Western Iowa is sort of a bad deal. We should stay in Eastern Iowa.
We have proposed that question to the state. Could the eastern side of the state do something different from the western side of the state? And
I bet
they said
no.
no.
Yeah.
They said no. We thought that would be a good proposal.
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen, probably.
Or just
even though it makes sense.
Or just the inequities in the
Oh,
qualifying procedure
sure.
that would exist.
That's too bad. I do want to talk a little bit about the cross-country programs. We've got just a little bit of time left, but the City High cross-country programs are really something special, too. And your coaches, Jamie Skay and Tom Mittman, have just done an extraordinary job developing these kids to do something that is so unique unto itself, literally unto itself, because these kids are out there all by themselves running. Just running and not stopping.
It's grueling.
It is. Early mornings.
Before school, after school, Saturdays.
Yeah, it's tough. Now, they've got a big meet coming up this week, right?
Yes, we do. We are actually at the MVC Divisional, which is hosted by Dubuque Senior. So we will be running at the Dubuque Soccer Complex. Thursday.
And then, is it next week, the state meet?
The following Thursday is the district regional meet.
District's following week. And then, hopefully.
And then on to state, which is, I believe, the 29th.
Is that Des Moines?
Fort Dodge.
Oh, that's right, Fort Dodge.
Fort Dodge.
Of course.
Has it ever been held in Iowa City?
Not that I'm aware of. It's been in Fort Dodge as long as I can remember. The unique thing about Iowa City and fall sports is the University of Iowa football. Ashton cross country course, which is the University of Iowa home course, which we run both of our meets, is an amazing course.
Oh, it's fun.
It's spectator friendly. I mean, it would be a great place to hold a state championship. But if Iowa has a home game, then it's not accessible. So I think the state really looks to keep a cross-country championship in the same location year in and year out.
So Fort Dodge gets cross-country. They get girls softball, right?
Yes.
And boys baseball.
Boys baseball's at Principal Park in Des Moines.
Oh, okay. I guess I knew that.
Baseball
right.
used to be Marshalltown.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, thanks for clearing that up. We enjoyed watching the girls' state softball tournament on TV this summer. That was pretty unique. And that's another thing. Boys baseball, girls softball played in the summer here in Iowa, which isn't the case elsewhere.
That's correct.
And I think it's the way it ought to be. I mean, why would you play baseball in the spring here when it's so cold? I just think that's something that somebody at the state level saw the brilliance in and did something sensible.
I think historically the reason why baseball and softball are summer sports is because of the nature of the agricultural community. And so the kids that were responsible for being an integral part of the farm, crops in the ground, free to participate, and then they go through the fall harvest. And so there's that 10-week, 8-week period of time in the summer that they can commit to being a softball or baseball player. And it's great for them to showcase their talents without having to compete against another sport.
And farm kids make good baseball and softball players.
You bet.
They're tough. They've got some skills that lend themselves to the round ball sport. I like that. But back to Jamie and Tom Mittman. Talk a little bit about their commitment.
My first day on the job at City High 5 years ago, I pull into the parking lot, start walking up the big stairs, and there's probably 150 kids on the front lawn. doing some stretches. I thought, what in the world is this? You know, do we have camp in the middle of July? And lo and behold, it was Coach Skay, Coach Mittman, and summer cross-country training. And I thought, to get 100, 150 kids, 90-plus temperature, working in the summertime, having fun. Our coaches run and train with our kids. And I mean, it's just been amazing. Coach Skay is a teacher at Southeast, so he tries to get his arms around those kids early. And they really just do a remarkable job of providing opportunity for kids.
What do you mean, their arms around those kids?
Just trying to recruit those kids, looking at kids and making that first contact, saying, you know, maybe you should try cross country. It's a great sport. Let me introduce you to the sport. Connecting them with coaches and kids, and really starting early to try to develop that passion for running. Because
and that's what you have to do as a cross country or even track coach, is recruit kids to come out, because it's not like basketball or baseball or even football where kids can play it either as a youth in an organized situation. There aren't, you don't have cross country organized programs for youth, and
Has Jim Sangster helped their programs out there any? Does he come around to school?
All the time. Jim's in the building, I would say, on average 2 to 3 days a week. He is so involved in the alumni organization. You know, he's on our chain crew for the sophomore football game, still on Friday nights.
Is he really?
You bet. He's at every home event. He travels to away football games. I mean, he lives and breathes City High like no other. Absolutely. In fact, he and I had a conversation about district football yesterday morning, and he walked away saying, I am sorry I asked. Because, you know, I just shared with him all the reasons why we are such strong supporters of maintaining our conference ties and how valuable it is to us.
I hope you're able to persevere and see that through.
You know, I hope so, but I think the writing's on the wall, unfortunately, and so we've started to kind of come up with some ideas, and this is kind of one that I'll share with the group.
Please.
Called the athletic director from Ames High. Judge Johnson is currently the president of our state association. We have a good working relationship. And I said, you know, Judge, if we're going to be thrown into this, let's think of some things outside the box. Wouldn't it be neat if City High and Ames played the Friday night prior to the Iowa State game in the same community? I said, we would bring over a boatload of charter buses. You would come over here. I said, how cool would that be? I mean, just to add to the weekend of Iowa State, City High Ames.
I like that.
You know, if we're going to be directed to go the district football way, let's start thinking outside the box and kind of come up with some really creative things to make this a great experience.
Ames High is 4A?
They are.
And that's what Little Hawks?
Yeah, they're the Little Cyclones.
Yep.
The Little Cyclones versus the Little Hawks.
The Little Hawks would maul them.
Oh, be careful what you say.
Yeah, they don't get the show names.
Oh, you never know. They might with satellites.
That's true.
That's exactly right. But I mean,
like
those
that.
are those are the kind of the things that, you know, we need to be proactive and truly look at ways that it's going to benefit us.
Good for you're backing the change.
No question. I mean, if this is going to be a directive, then we need to support the directive, and we need to look at the best ways, you know, that City High can benefit from the directive.
Was he receptive to the idea?
Absolutely. In fact, he even thought, well, what about basketball then? I mean, so there are really so many neat things actually that Iowa City and Ames could do. You know, even Little Hawk, you know, a trophy that would go back and forth.
Just don't have it look like a farm family with a bushel of corn on it.
I'm not going to comment.
Sheesh. Well, that's great. What else is going on at City High with the Little Hawks?
Well, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, our drama department is producing Peter Pan. Over 100 City High kids are participating, in 23 elementary and junior high kids. We actually have...
Wait a minute. Say that again. How many?
Over 100 City High students are participating in the performance in some capacity.
That's incredible.
We have an expert in from New York. We are actually flying. Peter Pan will fly around Opstead Auditorium. And so if you're looking for something to do Friday, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Sunday afternoon, you know, I would suggest attending Peter Pan at City High.
My kids would love that.
How much are tickets?
Tickets are, I'm looking at my little list. Tickets are $12 for adults and $5 for children or senior citizens.
Okay.
But we're not supposed to talk about price on public access.
Yes.
That's right. I wasn't supposed to talk about
darn
price on
it.
public access. Give me the FCC
Joe
fee.
is really upset with us now.
How much would it cost me? I'm a senior citizen.
I can't discuss that with you. I've been told that I can't provide you.
It's my show.
I can point to the number on the page for you.
It says $5.
Wink, wink. I'll confirm.
Wait a minute, Joe's got something to contribute here.
No, you can't say the price. You can say more than 11 and less than 13.
Oh,
All
there
right.
you go.
More than 11, less than 13, more than 4, and less than 6.
Okay.
Well, that's a really neat opportunity for the kids to participate in something on such a level, a production level like that. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal, and you're bringing in an expert to teach kids how to fly.
You bet. Peter Pan is going to fly.
That's no easy trick.
Who's
It is
Peter
not.
Pan?
That's top secret.
Oh,
You have to come to a performance to see who Peter Pan
there you go.
is.
Where is she?
But I'm going to just give you one other piece of trivia.
Okay.
Peter Pan is Louis the Little Hawk.
Louis the Little Hawk.
Okay.
Come to Opstead Auditorium, and you'll learn more this weekend at City High.
Absolutely.
That's great. I heard people on the radio talking about that today. So it's a big deal.
It is
It's
a big deal. And our
deal.
kids and our directors have worked so hard just to, get this all to come together. In fact, today, 6th period, they're doing a preview for classes in the building that would like to come watch an
Very
act
cool.
or two.
So there's more than just football and volleyball and golf going on. The volleyball team at City High ranked number 2.
Rank number 2.
Now, update us on the season. Where are we in the season?
We are currently 20-2. Next Tuesday, we finish the regular season. We're at Xavier. And we hopefully will finish the regular season undefeated and be outright divisional champions. We are fortunate to have a first-round bye in the regional tournament. So we will be hosting either Muscatine or actually Ottumwa or Burlington on Thursday, October 27th.
Are volleyball games held in the new gym or the old gym?
They are held in the Red Zone Gym.
Red Zone Gym, the new one.
The new one.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I bet it gets loud in there for volleyball.
It gets loud in there. And it's such a great atmosphere. Absolutely. A
I've
lot of
seen
fun.
some of the highlights, or what am I talking about? I've seen some of the games on Channel 22. It gets real wild. And you get a lot of the boys athletes in there to support the girls athletes and volleyball players. That's something special. Well, good luck to the volleyball team.
Thank you.
And who's your volleyball coach?
Craig Pitcher.
Thanks. Okay. So, volleyball, football, basketball season's about to start. When does that kick in?
Girls basketball starts official practice the first Monday in November, and boys basketball begins the second Monday in November.
All right. All right. It means winter's almost here.
It is.
Wrestling, when does that begin?
Wrestling also begins the second week of November.
Second week of November, okay.
Boys swimming begins the first week of November, as well as bowling.
Oh, bowling.
Sanctioned
Wow.
sport.
Yep. I was a bowler, but we didn't have it in high school. Is rodeo still a sanctioned sport?
It is not. It's a club sport.
Okay.
Rodeo's club. I believe trap shooting is club. I think there are some schools that have rugby as club.
Jeez.
How about rowing?
I have not been a part of a school that has a club rowing team. It's
We have
pretty
one at the
strong
university.
in the Quad Cities.
Well, that would make sense. They have water.
Yes.
Big water. Big water. We haven't said a word today about the Hawkeye football team, but I did want to ask Deanne if she has a favorite Hawkeye, maybe former Hawkeye football player that you might want to mention.
My husband was on the Hawkeye team from 87 to 90.
What's his name?
Mike Kroemer. Had a great experience. Favorite coach, Dan McCarney. Coach Ferentz, I believe, was an assistant maybe during that period of time. And just relishes the experiences that he had with the university program. Loves to get together with the guys and tell stories.
I'll bet.
You know, we try to get to every home game that we can. We try to
tough,
get to some of
isn't
the
it?
away games. Absolutely. With my schedule, I have tough time getting there, but love it when I have the opportunity.
Once a Hawk, always a Hawk.
No question.
So, did the two of you get to watch the Penn State game Saturday afternoon?
I actually was finishing up the boys' state golf tournament.
Boys golf.
So I listened to the last quarter on the radio.
Painful.
Felt their frustration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely felt their frustration when it doesn't go the way they expect.
I think Penn State is a much better defensive team than anybody gave them credit for, and we should know that by now. They've been a tough defensive team for decades, and they shut the Hawkeye running game down. You know that Penn State had 12 minutes more than Iowa in time of possession on Saturday. That's a big difference. Big difference.
And they scored in the last quarter, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And that was the first time the Hawkeyes have lost by more than a touchdown in 4 years. That's incredible. Little trivia point. The last time the Hawkeyes lost by more than one score, by more than a touchdown, 4 years ago. That says something about Kirk Ferentz' program. They're in every game. And it wasn't like they weren't in the Penn State game. They had opportunities. It just wasn't going to happen Saturday. And now you've got Northwestern coming in for really what's going to be a critical game.
At nighttime.
6 o'clock Saturday on the Big Ten Network if you can't make it. Dan Persa, who has just tortured the Iowa defense.
You notice he's not running out of that position. He just stays put.
He's not going to be doing much running forward this week, I don't think. But we'll see. The guy tore his Achilles tendon on the very last play of the game against Iowa last year in Evanston. He jumped up in celebration after throwing a touchdown pass, which beat the Hawkeyes, and tore his Achilles tendon. He just came back for his first game 2 weeks ago, and he came out of that game late in the early in the fourth quarter, I think, because it was hurt again. He played last week and in the loss to Michigan. He was effective with his passing arm, not as effective running. But they gave undefeated Michigan, a big scare in Evanston. And I think, I hope, and I trust that Coach Ferentz and the staff and the team have circled this date, Saturday, as a must-win. No matter what the record is now, we've got to beat Northwestern. And, Penn State shook the boogeyman off their back by beating Iowa. Iowa, until Saturday, had beaten Penn State 8 out of the last 9 times. And nobody does that to Joe Paterno and his team. Nobody. And really, not many teams, Northwestern doesn't beat anybody like they do Iowa. They've won 3 of the last 4, and that's just really unacceptable. So, the team feels that way. The coaches feel that way. And it'll be interesting to see what happens this Saturday. The Hawkeyes have a full contingent of high school seniors coming in to be recruited. So it's a big, big day for the Hawkeyes on many fronts, not just on the field, but behind the scenes, too. They've got a lot of kids they need to impress on Saturday. The fans ought to be well-oiled. They're going to have all the color schemes going and some placards, and they're going to be celebrating America Needs Farmers, ANF. That's the little logo that you see on the Hawkeye helmets, and that's what it stands for, ANF, America Needs Farmers. We know that. Now we have an opportunity to say it to the whole nation Saturday night and explain it. I guess some former Hawkeyes like Marv Cook are going to be out there before the game, meeting fans, and I forget who else is going to be there. Ed Podolak.
Ed Podolak.
Yeah.
Gary Dolphin.
So
Marv Cook.
Big day Saturday. Big day Saturday. Another piece of good news. Brad Rogers, the fullback for Iowa, is back. He played a little bit on Saturday, and this week we'll have B.J. Lowry, the defensive back, returning to the Hawkeye roster after breaking an arm or a wrist. I think he broke his wrist. So Joe Murphy has just told me that we are out of time, believe it or not. So I am going to have to sign off. I want to thank all of the viewers for watching. Our special guest has been Deanne Kroemer, the athletic director at City High. Deanne, thank you very much for being here. Our show is on every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on Channel 18, every Sunday night at 6 p.m. You can find it on patv.tv, or you can go to my Facebook page and find it. On behalf of Earl and Deanne, I thank you for watching, and remember, either you're a Hawk or a Little Hawk, or you're not. Go Hawks, go Little Hawks. Thanks for watching.